Okay, it looks like we're live. Welcome to SEO This Week, episode 167. Thank you all for joining me. As always, new format. Going to go over the news. Then we have an interview with Marco Benavides from the Semantic Mastery crowd. Going to talk about with him where you actually go over like how he started, where he lives. Talk about a lot about where he lives. And then we talk about the importance of masterminds and why that helped him, build up his business, and from where he started out 30 years ago to moving to Costa Rica to becoming an SEO, and now he's a quote unquote guru. And then why he some different ways he looks at some perspective on the on SEO and coming from a developer's world and a coder's world and turning that into an SEO guy. So I think it'd be pretty interesting for you guys. I think you'll enjoy it. I know I enjoyed it as we were going through it. As always, if you have questions or you come up with questions, leave them during the interview in the chat, in the top chat, and then we'll get to those at the end. Otherwise, I don't have any training scheduled unless a question comes up, which might lead us into one. So we'll see how that goes. Here's the screen. The stories today: advanced social media, e-com, and JavaScript are the titles. And the first one is JavaScript ruins your Web Vitals KPIs. So if you know what Web Vitals. I think we talked about them the last couple of weeks now. Three main columns, and then one of the problems was JavaScript. And the reason JavaScript is a problem is that third parties, even Google Analytics, for example, Google Maps, all those chat things that you have on your websites, Hotjar, clicky analytics sometimes can trigger JavaScript issues, blah, blah, blah. Well, this is a test to see if using a program called Puppeteer, if you run that to automate blocking those things, and you can block each and every one and see what's broken. And then you can kind of use this tool to decide which ones you want to, you can block from loading in order to speed up your website a little bit, especially if you don't need it for that particular page or whatever. So you can check this out. It's on Medium. It's pretty technical, but I think it's still worth the time, especially if you're chasing the white rabbits in the page speed. I would say, though, if your site is loading 3 seconds or faster on mobile, you're good to go. That's at the end of the day, that's what Google's looking for from an SEO perspective. From a user perspective, just look at your website. Maybe you need all those widgets, gadgets, and whatevers to help with your conversions. Then keep them, especially if you meet the time frame. The next one is JavaScript SEO. What do you need to know? This is over at Ahrefs Guy's site. It's pretty good. It breaks down JavaScript and some different things that go along with it and what you can do with it, and if your website's programmed with it and how to optimize with it, etc. I like this one. It's technical without being like technically nerdy. So I think you guys will enjoy this one too. Thank you, Connor. This is a Builder Society post. Like you said, I mentioned last week, you guys aren't on a Builder Society. You should be there. There's a lot of people, real world people. There's not a bunch of talking heads out there, like me, that are on Builder Society. These guys are business owners, etc. And this post is from CC Carter. If you don't know who he is, he's been around. He's one of the old dogs at SEO. He's got SERPWoo is his product. I'm sure he does some other things, but SERPWoo is the one that I know and mostly for, and then just as being around in the forums and stuff and listening to him or reading him, more importantly, is a great value. So check out this post on advanced social media techniques. He goes over Twitter, YouTube, Reddit, and there's a couple other ones in there. It's not a long read, but as you said, he's got here, it's constantly updated, and then members will add to it as well. This one is it's a roll up. It's 45 SEO experts, their most effective content optimization strategy. I shared this because if you guys are out there testing thinking some new ideas and etc. Then these kind of roll up posts are really good. They're not heavy on details, but they are on ideas. So there's 45 different ideas, maybe 10 of them that you may not have thought before. And check those out. I know I will, and I'm planning on adding some of those to the testing stuff over at SIA, see what works and what doesn't for us. On the e-com side, if you have a e-commerce website, category pages are, if you look in Google, category pages typically win unless you search directly for product pages, right? So, and this is a good way to optimize your category pages. Ted and I talked about this topic quite some time ago, and Kyle Roof and I have talked about it even more than that a long time ago. But basically, what this does is it gives you a nice template to work with to build out these category pages, not only for conversions, but from SEO perspective. And if you look at the template that they give you, it almost mirrors what Amazon does. So there's another good example right there is a template you can base off of what Amazon is doing. It's a multi-billion-dollar company that's testing all the time. So why not build your category pages out like that? So check this out. I think it's going to be really worth your time, and you can capture some more business with these category pages. Now, if you're not on an e-commerce site and you have, let's say you have an informational site, in my case, we're using WordPress and it's an informational site on SEO, right? I could technically build out the category pages for Digital Ear, and you can too for your local business sites or whatever, even your affiliate sites, and build out these category pages to kind of match these here. And then what I would do with that is typically we don't really try to get those to rank a lot. But I would actually send links to the category pages and not my product and review pages, or in this case, not my SEO This Week episodes. Send it all to that one link and let that juice pass through. And maybe you get lucky and you rank your category page as well. So it's not only for e-com for sure. What is better for product pages and SEO? Is it content or backlinks? This are kind of roll it out there is the content is actually better for project pages because it's true what they say in here is that product pages typically don't get a lot of backlinks unless they are really popular and they kind of get into that trending / viral status, right? So Ted talked about this on this show, like a year ago. And he was doing SEO for a really big coupon e-commerce type site, like really big. And what he did is he built 25 links to each one of his products. And that boosted the products up and got the increased rankings and ultimately increased revenue. So 25 links is kind of the target that I go through now for all of my e-com stuff. And then I worry about content and optimization that way from an SEO and a CRO perspective. So check this out. It's not wrong. And it's actually a pretty decent article. I like. If you were into the affiliate thing as we are, we're jumping over and expanding more into some affiliate stuff to get some residual income coming in from different areas. There's some networks that Matt Diggity has used. If you guys don't know Matt Diggity, he's been in a lot of affiliate programs and he's based his business model around affiliate stuff. I'm not sure how much he's doing nowadays since he was selling links for a while, but I think he's back into it. But he's also running an agency, so he's wearing many hats. But this is a decent post that he did that was on different networks. Funny thing was he wrote this. He was actually ranking like number 1 or 2, and then he mailed out to his email list, and he got a whole bunch of traffic, and it jumped it up and bounced the rankings really high for multiple keywords. When that stopped, all the pages, this page no longer ranked in those positions. So for his term, his best affiliate network. So that's kind of an aside of a case study where if you're going to do traffic to your content to get it to rank, then you better hope that it's good enough to actually build some backlinks. If you're not going to do that, to get it to stay there. because in this case, he didn't build any backlinks to this. He said it himself, and didn't build any backlinks. It just did traffic, and that traffic resulted in rankings. And once the traffic went away, the rankings went away. And so that's something to consider when you're dealing with an idea of playing with traffic to rank. Just know that unless you're building backlinks to support all that traffic later, when you stop it, you're kind of setting yourself up. But it still works in a launch checking thing, so check that out. We've talked in the last couple of weeks about new features being added to the Bing Webmaster tools. This is a kind of a roll-up, a walkthrough of the rest of the platform, and some new things that they expect to be released inside of the tools. It was actually pretty good and worthwhile. I think you'll enjoy that. Again, you can all have all your eggs in one basket. Google has the domination of the search market. I get it, blah, blah, blah. But if you're in entertainment, if you're in fashion, if you are in electronics and those kind of markets, Bing users spend on average $500 more than Google users in those markets. So you are walking away from a lot of money if you're not paying attention to what Bing is telling you to, and at least trying to rank in those at the same time. So check out the Bing Webmaster Tools roll up here. It's on Search Engine Journal. Okay, I added a new feature to the website. You guys know I like to talk about tools and programming and blah blah blah. So, but what I didn't want to do is make these shows unnecessarily long, just talking about my favorite tutorials and stuff. Especially since this week I got 3 of them. 3 tutorials on Python. These are all from James Phoenix. How to compress your images in Python, compress multiple images in Python, and comprehensive Google Sheets with Python. These 2 are probably the more important, in my opinion, here, the multiple images and compressing the images, because you can do a lot of stuff with image SEO, right? And with Google releasing their new thing, just the other day, let me get the name of it. And what it's supposed to be doing, what they envision it to do, is for it to compete against staking. It's like a competitor of Pinterest / a Google Trends kind of thing. So check this out. And images are going to be a really big deal. And I think if this takes off as much as Pinterest does, and we talked about it in the Pinterest SEO episode, you can get a lot of traffic if you have the right images. And then there may be some SEO opportunities in here. I have to test some few things. I got a few ideas to see how this works out. I can tell you, don't go in there and it's inevitable. There's going to be some jackhole that makes a piece of software and turns us into a shit storm. But maybe we can take advantage of it and get some really good traffic and keep this as another Google property, kind of if you're in a Google Stacks kind of thing. That turns into something pretty interesting. But you can see stories are in here, links. You can do some link building. There's some image stuff in here. You can create trends. If you're, like SEO this week, I can pre-populate some stuff in here and get rid of some of my curation plugins maybe. But we'll see how that all works out. So that's why these 2 are really important, I think, in my humble opinion. And then the comprehensive Google guide to Google Sheets with Python, that's actually pretty handy. There's some features in there. On top of that, Google Sheets is still a link building platform. We get some new tests now, another way they changed some things, and interesting to see how those turn out. But it's still a link building opportunity. And then another GMB post sheets add-on. This is actually leads you to a post that gives you a description of it, and then it'll send you to where you have to download the add-on. But you can actually do your GMB post through this. And supposedly there's some features in there. I still haven't tested it myself, but there's some features in there to auto schedule it, etc. And I want to test those out myself versus paying for and restarting a GMB post software type of thing. So if it's free, why not leverage that? So hopefully you enjoy the new tools and tutorials. I find that kind of stuff all the time. There's like plenty of new stuff that's out there that I think will be really interesting for people. That will help you in the long run with your daily things. So check those out at the bottom of the post, and I hope you enjoyed the news stories. So what we're going to do now is get on and with the interview with Marco. Like I said, I think you guys will enjoy it. A really smart dude. And we talk about a lot of things. So here we go. Hey, everyone. Okay, this is the Meet the Expert segment. This week we have Marco Benavides, and he's coming to us from the great country of Costa Rica. He's living in paradise.
Right and sunny, man. Right and sunny.
Right and sunny. The only thing you're missing is a window that has the view of a mountain behind you. That would be awesome.
The mountains are actually that way, and I have no window on this side. I live in a condo.
Okay.
It's a gated community, and so I have neighbors down from me. I live on the corner house, but you get beyond that, and I have two huge, beautiful volcanoes.
Oh wow!
Boas volcano and Barber volcano as a backdrop. Oh, so I just go to there's a common green area, and I'm saying that you guys can't see it, but I don't know. Sometime I'll go in, I'll take a picture, man, because it's like. You can't believe, like, when you walk out the door, the view, man. It just the landscape that's all around. It's so beautiful. Love Costa Rica. I'm the biggest fan of my country that you could possibly have.
I don't know if you're ever into the network marketing crowd, but you remember Dave Woodward, who did the Empower Network and all that, and he had. Some people might know. Some people might remember. He's been around. He started the Empower Network. It was actually they were making all kinds of money, and then he just went like nuts. But yeah, but he's got or he had a house in the mountains of Costa Rica, and I thought that would be like the coolest thing. The only problem he seemed to have was his internet connection sucked. So, how's the internet in Costa Rica?
I'm running 100 over 100 right now.
Oh, that's not bad.
Just perfect, and they'll take it. I mean, just wherever you live, the company that I have, they'll take it right to the house, right to the modem.
So, it's all wired, or is it wireless, or?
No, it's wired. I have a router.
Oh, okay.
That feeds like my PC, but it's 100 over 100. It doesn't fail. This is the best company ever.
Best company ever. So if I move there, I'm gonna go find you and have to refer me to the internet.
We'll route internet to your house.
Yeah. The digital nomad stuff, that's actually becoming more and more popular. Do you have a big expat community in Costa Rica where you're at?
Huge. Tons of people from not only from the US, UK, German, Canadians. Mostly UK and Canadian, but yeah, huge expat communities here, especially in the Pacific side.
Right. I can imagine. That side must be beautiful.
Well, both. It depends on what you like. Do you like hot and humid, or do you just like hot and not so humid?
That's why the mountains, because like it was way up there. It's kind of the rainforest, but there's the rain that comes in, and I like rain, especially in a thunderstorm format, not the Washington format where it's all the time, but the thunderstorms and that stuff.
Well, we were up there. We were actually like up on the mountain, right? The mountain behind the condo. I was up there. The problem with that is the rain. And it rains a lot more than it does down here. Believe it or not, it's only like a 10-mile difference.
Right.
But the rain is significant. I love rain because it comes in the afternoon, like you say, thunderstorms, and it's this lightning and this beautiful light showing all right, really loud.
Yeah.
And then it goes away. But over there, it's so high up that all that humidity just gives you a lot more rain.
Right.
And so down here, it's better for me, right? The average rainfall is lower down here.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to hit you up then. I'm gonna have to hit you up because it sounds like your community is awesome. I don't know about the volcanoes because didn't you have one of those going off not too long ago?
Yeah, but Costa Rica is really small,
right?
And so anything is going to affect everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just ash. We just had ash.
Yeah.
We just had to clean it up. That's all.
That's good for the farmers too. So yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful for the land. What's so green? I tell my wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so were you born and raised in Costa Rica? I'm assuming.
I lived here till I was 9.
Till you're 9.
Then my mom and dad, well, my dad first, because of his mom, moved to the U.S. He got his green card, and then once he went, we were able to get our green card and move to the U.S. I lived in the U.S. for about 30. I moved here in 2003. I moved back. So it was my dream. I mean, from the time I got to the U.S. to one day move back to Costa Rica.
To come back, yeah.
And so once I was financially stable and I knew that I didn't really have to hump for my money, I left.
Yeah.
I left and came here. House, family. I live no differently than I would in the U.S. except I live much more relaxed. Costa Rican people are we live what's called the pure lifestyle. Pura vida, we call it. Which is, you got no money? Fuck it, let's go drink a beer. Pura vida. You got money? Cool. Let's go drink a beer.
Let's go drink a beer, yeah.
It's like no worries. Except no worries. It's kind of like you don't worry about anything, even though there are worries. It isn't that. It's like, okay, so you got to worry, but what can we do about it?
All right.
So why isn't, let's just go pura vida and on to the next step. And it's really relaxed. People aren't rushing. People aren't pushing each other, except on Black Friday. But yeah, it's way more relaxed. People are different. People will still say hello and greet you in the morning, and well, not with COVID, but shake your hand, and take the time to talk to you and get to know you. Right. And we don't mind people from the U.S. coming here.
What is the primary language? Is obviously you speak English very well because you're in the U.S. all the time. But what is the primary language? Is it Spanish?
It is. Our native or the official language is Spanish, but you find that a lot of people here will speak English.
Okay.
It's almost becoming a bilingual country, much like Europe, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I only ask because if I want to go there, I want to be able to settle right into the community. And I'm learning Spanish really slowly because I'm in Yuma and we have a really heavy migrant farmer community right here. And pretty much every contractor speaks Spanish and it's just easier to communicate with them. So that's why I was curious.
If you live the lifestyle, you will learn the language. That's just the way it is.
Right. So you were in the U.S. before you went to Costa Rica. Established yourself. How did you do that? I understand it, you were a programmer at one point, or you still are a programmer.
I have a degree in computer programming, and this language is like COBOL and BASIC and Pascal.
Right.
Like legacy languages which are really in demand now. Back in the day, it never really hit me. I went from computers to literature. I was going to be a literature major, get tenure as a college professor, and live that lifestyle.
Right.
College professor, and write books and
the co-eds.
But I once saw one of my professors' paycheck. I said, "Oh no, I won't be doing it." No, it didn't happen. And so I switched to business major.
Right.
So I went through that progress, and I actually ran a company. There wasn't that many people. It took about 250 people. Mm-hmm. He got sold out. Got swallowed up by a much bigger company. And so when we settled on how things were going to go, because I didn't want to work as a middle manager the rest of my life. And that's where I ended up. I ended up in a cubicle. So imagine you go from running the company and you're directly responsible for the success to a middle manager where it's still cutting you the same check, but you have no say in the company. And so I said, this isn't what I want. So let me go. I'm going to take my profit sharing. I'm going to take my money and I'm going to move to Costa Rica and do nothing. So if I'm going to do nothing in a cubicle, I'm going to go do nothing in Costa Rica. And interestingly enough, here I am, 17 years later. Nothing works out like you planned.
Yeah, right. So how did that transition when you decided, hey, let's go check out SEO and let me get into that SEO stuff?
All right, so I'm at a park. And we're talking, and I've programmed before, and I understand a little bit about programming. And somebody there, a Costa Rican guy, who had a directory of all things, of Costa Rican businesses, said, hey, I want you to help me getting traffic to my website. Can you do that? Yeah, of course I can. I didn't even know what SEO stood for. I didn't know what anchor text was. This is my depth of knowledge in SEO was, I know nothing.
Right.
But I know computers and I know code, so I figured how much different could it be? Back in those days, there were a lot of similarities, still are. But I mean, back then you could get into the HTML, I understood it. And you get into the PHP and I understood it. Right? At that level, so I began to get familiar with the terms. And after 6 months, you guys remember, I didn't have a job, I didn't have to work. And so I could just immerse myself into this thing to help this guy get traffic to his website. Mm-hmm. And so about 6 months later, we're at around 30K people a day to his directory. And I'm doing all of these mad schemes. I was iPenning back then, like 2004. 2004.
The good old days.
I was iPenning the New York Times newspaper. Onto my web, I would find like relevant content from the New York Times that I turned in my website, and I would overlay. Of course, this is totally, you can't overlay, right? It's cloaking.
Yeah.
What did I do? I just overlaid my links where I wanted people to go on my website or on the directory. I would overlay it through CSS. I would overlay the links, and so people would click on it and they come to us. And here are these companies, and it just started this path of manipulation. Like I totally understood how to manipulate the code because that's what I was good with. I was good with the code,
right? And
that's where I understood. That's the concept that I understood. I began to understand a whole lot of other things: link building, external links, inbounds, outbounds, and then and as the process went on. Then I began to get into the math because again, code is math. It's algorithm. It's math. Once you whittle it all down and it gets down to its basics, it's math. And if you understand math, you understand code, you understand computers, and you understand the basics of how everything has to flow, not the bullshit that Google tells you how it flows, right? Because we get two different things. We get how it is. And then we get told how they want us to interpret what they think they want us to know. I hope that makes sense. Makes sense in my head, but they totally try to spin them around. Right?
Oh yeah, we have that discussion a lot. Is on the show is what John Mueller says versus what John Mueller can say versus what really is, and then you have to kind of interpret it. And then ultimately, it leads you back into testing. You got to test everything.
If Google tells you not to do something and you don't go right away and do it, then you're hurting yourself. Yeah. You're hurting your client. You're hurting everything. Because there's a reason why they don't want you to do it.
Because it works.
Whatever the reason behind everything is, and whatever the reason behind the way that Mueller says things, there's something behind that. Mm-hmm. And there's something really key. You got to dig in there and understand why it is that they're trying to say it. Do you remember when he said that Google doesn't take a look at social signals as a ranking factor? Do you remember that?
Yeah, yep. And then I was ranking websites just with social signals back then. So
well, or what was Google looking at through what was happening in social? Google was looking at the activity on the links in those social networks and what people then were doing when they landed on your website. So in essence, when you whittle it all down, what he was saying is semantically true, let's call it. Mm-hmm. They're not looking at this as a social signal per se. They're looking at the activity on it, which he cannot say. Looking at the activity on the link at the source and at the destination, then they're looking at everything. Right? All of the links that are tied to that link at that source and at that destination. They're looking at everything. And that's what they're trying to get at. So that's the thing that we have to look for. What's hidden behind everything that they're telling us.
All right.
And they try to hide as much as they can. But we still have the patents, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Always have the patents.
Well, you have the patents. I'm entirely not nerdy enough to go through that stuff. That's why I talk to you guys and Mike Pierce. You know, you guys have the patience to read through that and interpret it. And me, I'm like, okay, so what does this all mean, and what can I do with it?
Right. Well, that's the next step. That's what you do is the next step. Once you got it all whittled down, you can do the math.
Yeah.
And then now you have to apply, which is then the testing phase and the different phases of testing.
So you're starting off on your own, self-taught SEO. I think a lot of us are.
Yeah.
You know, I got a degree in internet marketing. It came with some SEO stuff, which ironically enough was all PPC stuff. But I pretty much started out the same way you did. I was looking for leads. I wanted to build a residual income on the side, and I learned SEO to accomplish that. But I did it through Black Hat, not White Hat, because Black Hat was faster. So how did that come into being where you met up with Bradley and Adam and Hernan and Chris and started Semantic Mastery?
It's really interesting. We all got Beckerized, and you can cut this part out. Meaning that we were all in a mastermind,
right?
I shouldn't mention it but what happened is we all met there in a mastermind. Now the problem with that mastermind is that after a while he just stopped showing up to the webinars because he had other things. Right? We were part of his growth model, but our growth wasn't part of his model,
right?
And so we met in there, and it was actually Semantic Mastery. The concept didn't come into being until sometime after that, months after that, because it was like 10, maybe more of us who formed our own mastermind, our own accountability group, and we were in Google Plus with that accountability group, where we would meet once a week and hold each other accountable for the things that we were doing. And so in a way, it was really crappy. But in another way, it was really, really good because I met Bradley, I met Christy, Hernan Vasquez, and Adam Moody, and that's what became Semantic Mastery. So that's how we met in Mastermind. And Mastermind can be really good, or they can be really crappy. But I recommend it to anyone who listens to get into some kind of mastermind.
What would you define as the perfect mastermind? So, and the reason I ask that is Semantic Mastery has their mastermind level. And if anyone wants to join, you can look at semanticmastery.com, right? And that'll lead you into, at least get you to the funnel, and you can see all the products and stuff. And I've been a part of Semantic Mastery Mastermind for quite some time. Full disclosure, the guys, they took pity on me and I get it for free. But in there you have 185-ish people, give or take, just looking at the membership of the Facebook group. Assuming I'm not the only one that got it free, we'll just say 185 to be fair. It's 185 people in a mastermind, and maybe 10 people talk and share information. Versus, I have my own mastermind that I put together, just a bunch of friends and people I found in other communities and stuff. We all clicked. There's 24 of us. And the rule in my mastermind is if you want to stay, you will contribute. If you want to get kicked out, you're gone. And people thought I was joking, like Ted Kabitis. I kicked him out of my own mastermind. Kyle Roof, I kicked him out. If you're not contributing to the group, then you're not a part of. So how did you ever talk about that and that balance? Because I know Adam was doing the mini masterminds within the masterminds. So
all right, so it depends on why the person is there, because our mastermind is not only for people who want to contribute to the mastermind. Our mastermind is focusing more and more on business growth models.
Right.
Like we want to teach people how to take their business and do exactly what we did, which is expand. We want them to learn from our experience and the things that the bottlenecks that we went through. Because it's always you. Yeah. If you wonder what the bottleneck is in your business growth, it's you. You can't get out of your own way fast enough for your business to grow. So how do you accomplish that? We've set up a bunch of different ways. The 2X rates, the MQIP, done through services. We have so many different ways that people can take advantage of so that they can grow their businesses. Now, some people are there just for that, to consume information. Other people are there because they want to share. They want to hear more. Like Rob. Rob got to sharing so much that we actually brought him in. Come on, man. You need to be part of this because you're giving so much. You contributed so much that we said, hey, look, keep contributing. We want those people, but we especially want to focus on those that are stuck. Now you're stuck in that 10 to 15K, and you don't know how to grow. Well, you need to spend some of it hiring people. So how do you do that? How do you get the great people into your company? How do you find those people? How do you get more clients to sustain that? So that I think that's something, because I do run my own mini mastermind, and it's an accountability. Every Tuesday we meet, and my condition is, if you're not there to be held accountable, there's no need for you to be there, so goodbye. So I'm very much like you. You miss a meeting, you better be dead or in the hospital and no phone, or your hands are broken, you cannot, and your wife left you. That's serious. That kind of thing. I'm that serious. And yes, we have a bunch of people and contributing ideas and just a whole bunch of different things. So I would say it depends on the purpose of the mastermind. Are you expecting 185 people to contribute ideas, concepts, when some of them are in different paths?
Could that be, going back full circle, because where you guys met, could that be kind of the same thing? I'm not presuming that I know. I'm thinking that I know who it was, but it's kind of the same concept. They position themselves as the thought leader. We're going to do a mastermind, but it wasn't really a mastermind. It was more of a information courses. Here's the webinar series. It's not like how Bradley handles the Hump Day Hangouts and the other masterminds. You guys are kind of broken it up now, but where before it was, hey, you're a Q&A point for you. We've been through all this craft. Ask us the questions and we'll give you the information. Could that be driving the and full disclosure, like I got ranks.com is where I'm doing my courses, and that thing's built out almost like a forum. It's almost like a social network on that site. So it's not something that's in the short-term plan, but in the long term, maybe I can build that out. We'll see. So I'm also thinking, you guys have done it. You've already built this community. You've already built a group. Now you have multiple product lines. Now you have Rob and the side thing, which we'll let you address in a little bit too. And then you have the MGYB. MGYB. Yeah, I get that wrong every damn time.
MGYB. You'll never get it wrong if you first think, make Google your bitch.
Yeah, make Google. There you go. You have that services arm now too. So you've grown, you turned a mastermind into really a nice business. And I think that's something that people need to learn from, especially in a day and age where the word guru is turned into, all of a sudden it's a bad word. You know what I mean? So it's just.
Well, because we have so many self-titled gurus.
Yeah.
So many self-titled. Because you heard me rant against the gurus and the experts and these people who are leading the way, and they're leading you. They're leading you off a cliff. And if you're just going to be a cattle and sheep and follow along without thinking, then there's a problem. And if you can't question the guru or the expert, and the expert won't open himself to scrutiny, then what the hell are you doing, man? Well, right. How can you follow a person who won't be questioned, who won't open himself up to scrutiny as far as what he's sharing, what he's doing, and the how? More importantly, right? Because if you're in a mastermind, you want the how.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So I think that leads us to the next kind of thing is the business thing, and that's you and Rob Beal made the Heavy Hitters Club now. Is that a part of Semantic Mastery, or is that your guys' thing?
Well, we can't completely say that there's no Semantic Mastery, because without Semantic Mastery, there's no Heavy Hitter Club.
Yeah.
Right? So what we decided to do, Semantic Mastery, is now more into a business model, although you see that my Ask Marco Anything webinars are, you come in, you ask me anything, and I'll answer it. And if I can't, Rob is with me, and he'll help me. And if not, then we'll go and find the answer and come back,
right,
and give people the answer. And so we have that. But what we wanted people is we have 5 Semantic Mastery partners with very different experiences, with very different thought processes and ways of doing things. And we wanted our community, our mastermind community, to really benefit from everyone's experience, not just Bradley, and not just me, although Bradley remains the teaching head,
the figurehead
of Semantic Mastery. He is Semantic Mastery. You can't extricate Bradley from Semantic Mastery.
Right.
All right, so we wanted to continue that, and we want to teach people how to make money, how to grow their business, whether you're using a client model, affiliate, however it is that you're doing it. Because again, we can't get out of our way fast enough to grow our business. Once we learn that somebody's 70% is actually better than most other people's and your expectations of you. So 70% of you is still really good, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one thing that I had to get into my head, because I always thought nobody could do it as well as me. Probably true. Or nobody could do it like me. Let me put it that way. Nobody could do it like me. So nobody can be 100% of me ever.
Right.
But if I give them the process and I set the expectations, and they give me 100%, their 100% of themselves might be 70% of me, but that's actually good enough to help my business grow. So once I got that concept where somebody could do it really well, and really well is actually good enough to get the same kind of results that I would have gotten. So now I'm out of the way and I'm doing something else. Something that actually requires me, because the one thing that people can't do is think for me, right? I can't hire anybody to think the way that I think, to see the way that I see things, to go and take a look at a patent, for example, and give me the math and solve the math for me so that I can then go and test according to the math models that I've been given. Nobody can do that. So, but when I'm hiring great people and I'm putting them in place, it gives me the freedom to go and do all those things that I really need to do, which is where Heavy Hitter Club comes in. Because what we did there is we wanted to be SEO specific, where we give people, much like you do, what's working. We don't want people to have the bullshit. We want to cut through the bullshit. You see a lot of it in these SEO groups, where someone will be a Google mouthpiece, and I don't understand why. But you can't beat Google. They have all of these geniuses you know what I'm talking about also. Because I saw you comment in that thread. I remember that. In that thread, in that group, and I'm not going to mention the group. Like, it's just a total Google mouthpiece. They have all of these geniuses in mouthpiece. You can't ever solve the algorithm. You can't solve page. I'm like, holy crap. Have you ever actually read the patent and seen the math in there? What we don't know is the page rank that things actually have, unless you're starting off with a new project, correct?
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because this is how I see it. Now, I don't know what Google's page rank is, but I can guess it's 10. Now, I don't have the formula for that 10, but if I'm starting a new project, I know that I'm starting with 1. And I know that most other projects, and most things on the web start with, let's call it PO1 for all intents and purposes. Now, if I'm working from that model, then I apply the math, I can get to whatever page rank I want by applying and sculpting page rank the way that we used to.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't changed. It hasn't. The math has not changed. So how can you say that we can't figure it out, I just give my math team the problem. And they're in charge of solving. I have a math team that works with me on these things. It's not as if I'm just sitting there with a pen and paper and my scientific calculator and trying to figure it out. I have people who are working on their master's degrees, on their PhDs, who are working on this. We're in quantum. We're in so many things. Why would anyone even think that there's no way that you can figure things out? It's only these Google geniuses, and we can't ever beat them. So what are we supposed to do? Shoot ourselves in the head? Go hide under the bed? What do we do? What we do is we go in and we test it, we prove it, we build a repeatable process, and we show that yes, you can. And not only can you, but you can actually beat the system over and over and over again.
Right. And one way you beat the system is with the Google stacks. And I don't know how much you want to talk about the ad ID pages, but primarily the Google stacks, I think, as everyone who really knows you for, is the RYS stuff and turning Google against itself. How long did it take you to kind of figure that out and turn that into a process that you can repeat?
I went into high speed, more or less, in 2004. It was like mid 2014. Because I remember I was playing with G-Site, and I was playing in Google Drive. And then right around November of 2014, I got really serious about it. And then you remember Dr. Gary Kerwin.
Yep.
And I believe it was December, I brought him in and I said, hey, look, Doc, this is what's happening. He says, yeah, I found these things. And from there, it was August of 2015 when we released the original Rank Your Shit Academy training.
Mm-hmm.
So the process was about, I'd say 18 months. But 18 months ago, we met every Saturday, and we met for about 4 or 5 hours. And then we planned out the week and the different things that we needed to test and do and try. And then he'd come up, hey, look, this is what's happening. And I'd say, well, yeah, but then now we need to go and try this. So it was just an ongoing process of just going and seeing and continuing to manipulate it and putting it all together into some kind of repeatable process that other people could follow and apply to whatever it was that they were doing.
Right.
So 18 months.
18 months. And then I was on your webinar the other day. You were talking about you guys are updating that. You're adding, and full disclosure, that thing is expensive, but you guys are adding so much stuff to it. It seems there's new ideas in there all the time. So it's not like a pay for this course and you're going to get it, and then version 2 is going to come out 12 months later. And nothing else is going to happen in between. You guys have been adding stuff to it the entire time as it goes along. But you're getting ready to re-release, or if I understood it correctly, the next iteration of our ways?
Yeah, no, because it's not something that we'll charge for, right? The anniversary is coming up. 5 years of manipulating.
Yeah.
And using Google, I wouldn't say against Google, but using the power of Google to rank in Google. So 5 years. And so it's an anniversary, and a lot of things have changed as far as interfaces and as far as like Google Plus and a few other things that were working in there that are no longer available. And now, as you know, with the docs and the different things what's happening there, where they took away the public option.
Yeah.
And so the training needs to be updated.
Needs to be updated.
And so we're going to do that. We're going to show the new interfaces and show how you can still get things to work despite Google taking away something, which I understand why they took it away, but that doesn't mean that the power of a drive stack and G-Site was taken away.
Right. Yeah, it's just like the YouTube lives. They were ranking almost instantly, and then the a-holes were like, oh, I make this software that makes 1 million of these, and you're like, there's no value in that. But okay, if you want to make 1 million, knock yourselves out. So Google took that thing away, and now I think this is just the next iteration where they're like, all right, we've kind of had enough. You're all using our product now. We're glad, but we're going to take these features away. That's how.
But they still leave doors open, right? There's still ways. We can still get stuff to work the same way that our stuff is working the same way it always has.
All right.
Nothing's changed.
Okay. So I think that we've been talking 35 minutes, so I think we're probably bored everyone by now. So, how if someone wants to get a hold of you? We talked about all your things: Semantic Mastery, the Heavy Hitters Club. How would you prefer if someone wants to find Marco and join you or pick your brain or whatever?
I would say the easiest way is to go and join the free group, the SEO group, right? Because I'm really active in there. Okay. You go ask a question in there. You can go to Hump Day Hangouts every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern for the past almost 6 years. We've been going live. So if you want to get hold of me, that's a great way. Ask a question there. Yep. I'm known to answer my messenger, but don't bust in there complaining, whining, or whatever. If you have a really good question for me, I'm known to answer my message. Don't flood me. Don't expect me to answer it right away. Don't contact me on a Sunday and expect me to answer your messenger and then get angry because I didn't answer. I've had that happen.
Oh, I've seen that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But the best way is to just get me in our free groups and in our Hump Day Hangouts, where we give people free SEO and marketing advice. Yep.
Hump Day Hangouts actually inspired SEO this week. That's where I came up with the idea. So you guys are doing it in a group, and I was like, well, I don't have a group, but what else can I do? And I was reading all these news things, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. We'll start a show. So that's awesome. All right, let's close it out. One last question for you, and it's kind of like my favorite question. Because I do testing, Kyle Roof got me on the testing. I was doing it myself, my own version of testing, but now I'm doing more legitimate testing. If an SEO, whether it be an affiliate who does local or national, whatever, wants to get into testing, in your opinion, what is the best research they should start with?
Oh man, that's a really good question. Doesn't it depend on what it is that they're looking to test?
I would think so. But I like to keep it from the SEO perspective, like, because you have, let's think about it this way. Ted broke out the HTML tags, and he went through the HTML website and came up with like 76 of them, and we tested each and every single one of those tags, those individual tags, to see which ones worked. And now we've moved on to link building. And you saw the other day, I showed you one of our tests we got running where I was testing the Google Drive tags. And we're testing things in maps. But there's always this argument. The most favorite argument is, you're testing in single variable. That can't be real because there's no competition there. And like, that's not you're missing the point. So
people don't understand that they mix that up.
Yeah,
single variable testing versus isolation. Right? Whether you can indeed test a single variable, and I've done it with Kyle.
Yep.
Tested a single variable to see one thing. Now, what you can't do is take something that has inherently multiple variables and call it a single variable testing, which I've seen one of the so-called gurus on the internet who concentrates on these single variable tests say that a drive stack doesn't work because he did a single variable test and it doesn't work. Wait. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I've seen one.
There's a fundamental shift in there where you went from single variable to something that's multivariable inherently. And how did you apply single variable testing to something that's multivariable? Right. Please. And nobody called them out on it. Nobody. So what I would say is go to the people that test and see how it is that they conduct the tests. Are they calling the testing by the correct names? The naming convention has to be correct. You can't say that you did single variable to something that's multivariable. Mm-hmm. You can't say that. Regression analysis. How are you doing the regression analysis? How are you testing? Is it isolation that you're doing? So are you isolating? And that's how you're going to each variable. Or are you isolating something that's multivariable? Go to the people that do the testing. You do great testing. Kyle, I've tested with Kyle. Great testing guy. Mike conducts a lot of testing. And figure out who's full of shit and figure out the guy, and then go build off of that. Because if you really want to get into testing, then the next step in that process would be for you to learn to test. But then that's on you, right? That's on you to then go and say, okay, I saw how they did it, but let me go try it my way, and let me go figure out how I can apply this to something else. Because what I'm doing is I'm taking Google Patents, doing the math, and then applying that, for example, to the you mentioned it, the ad ID page, which all that is an entity stack. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. The naming convention and whatever, it was done, and I explained how it was done. It was improperly named. We're trying to make it correct now, but it's an entity loop. And what we're doing right now, and what Rob and I are focusing on, is this entity and how to do entity-based SEO, so that's the base for everything. Because when you look at the entity and you look at semantics, we're in the semantic web. If you apply basic web principles to all of this, like semantics haven't just started to be around, been around forever. And it's just how much focus is Google giving entities, and how can you then test and my favorite word, how can you then manipulate? And I don't do black or white, any of that shit. I manipulate. How can you then manipulate these things that you're finding in the lab? When you're looking at your computer, you say, oh wow, look at this. How do you then take that and apply it to real world? Right? Because that's the end result is, let me go then take all of it and make money. If I'm just testing for the sake of testing, I better have a whole bunch of money to help me with the testing, to help me hire people and the machinery that I'm going to need to test. That's different. And yes, that's also very valid, testing for the sake of testing.
Yeah. Well, I think that was kind of my superpower, where I hang out with Ted and Kyle so much, and they would do all this testing. And I'm like, that's great, but how does they make me money? And I was the one who really focused on that. So taking what they learned and then actually applying it, which is probably another different skill set altogether. Thank you very much, Marco. I appreciate it. I know this was short notice, but I appreciate you spending the time with me and letting everyone hear your insights. It was good.
All right, Clint. Really enjoyed it. Thanks, man.
Thank you. There you go. Hopefully you guys got something out of that. I know that was a longer one than normal. And I do apologize for that echo. I just couldn't get rid of it in post-production. Kind of a learning curve with new software and new recording and stuff. So I do apologize for that. So that's it for this week of SEO this week. We don't have any questions. It doesn't look like some good statements, but no questions. So we'll leave it at that. Thank you all for sticking with me. Next week, using the lessons learned, we won't have any echoes. But we will have Brad Mayberry and Mike Pierce on. I've already talked to them, so we're getting to schedule the interview time for that. So those two will be talking, and we'll go over some of the new and exciting stuff they're doing over there at NFG SEO, including some link building your assets out, building your mini nets, and all that other stuff. So I'm looking forward to that conversation, and we'll see you next week